I was a CEO at a company, and everything I told myself was, you're a bad CEO, you're a bad leader, you're a bad father, you're a bad coach of your kids' teams, and there was just so much negative self-talk that it really started to make me hate myself. Right, I started self-loathing. You can't have any compassion for anybody else, I think, if you don't have it for yourself, and I didn't. I couldn't really stand myself. Our culture was a work hard, play hard sort of culture. So the harder you worked, the more well you were regarded, right? And there was no true work-life balance, right? I know as the CEO, I hate to admit this, but when a new employee would come in and be like, well, it's, work-life balance is really important for me. And I'd be like, let's hope that they turn out to be a good worker, because that sounds like I don't want to work very hard. And that's sort of the mindset that where I worked and in other places that I've worked has had up until even very recently. As time wore on and my symptoms got worse, my wife asked me to see a therapist. So I went to go see the therapist. I went for a little while. I wasn't very dedicated. If work came up, I would miss appointments. And so I sort of went away from that. I went away from medications that I was on initially prescribed. And I just didn't think I needed any of that. I didn't think I was depressed. I didn't think I had any sort of anxiety. Unfortunately, things continued to deteriorate, and they sort of culminated with trying to end my life via suicide. Luckily for me and for my family, that did not work. But it was really a sort of a turning point where I had to acknowledge how serious my issues were and how serious my mental health illness was, how much depression had really sort of weighed me down and isolated me from everybody, from my family, from myself, from friends, from colleagues. After my attempted suicide, I went into a hospitalization program and then a partial hospitalization program. And I think that time frame allowed me to really focus on myself. And at the very end of that, I thought, oh my gosh, here I am going to go back into the real world again. I don't feel like I'm ready, right? And so I asked the partial hospitalization program if they knew of something or how I could continue to have some of this therapy or group discussion, and they referred me to NAMI, and they said, NAMI has got a ton of programs, why don't you check some out? And I just immediately felt like this is a group that gets me, right? Or that I feel a little bit a part of this group. And I did the peer-to-peer training, I did the Connect, and then after I got through that, I signed up to do the Inner Own Voice. It's all fantastic, and it's a community that really is there for support. In the NAMI support groups, I found a place where I was meeting other people that had similar challenges to me, and I was able to relate to them in a way that I didn't feel judged or as an outcast, but that other people had mental health challenges and they could identify with what I was going through, and vice versa. And I think that feeling accepted in a group like that is really important. I think educating employers, CEOs, and HR departments about what the challenges are of mental health issues, how to deal with people who are having them, how to be a resource, and where to find the different avenues that can be out there to help them, I think is really important. So I think education is the biggest part. I think it's got to then follow up with communication, right? And talking about it in the workplace, because I think to begin to talk about it is how you start to acknowledge and solve the problem. The last piece that I think is important is that there's got to be some sort of programming around it, right? I mean, I don't know how, without a program like In Our Own Voice, how you would start to create a conversation. It's amazing how quickly people will open up to you once they hear your story, to share a story, whether it's them personally or someone that they love or someone that they worked with, that you feel like, okay, something I've told you or something I've shared with you has helped you or could help you or may help someone you know. And so I think there has to be some programming that takes place in the workplace that really says, okay, here's what we're gonna do to acknowledge mental health. Employers do that all the time with different movements and different policies. So whether it's cancer awareness or whatever, but mental health awareness, I think that that's an important piece of it. I feel like when I joined NAMI, I felt a home for myself. And it's a community that's welcoming, it's a community that's comforting, and it's a community that supports me in everything that I've tried to do. It's helped me with my recovery, it's helped me find other people that I'm comfortable with, and it's really helped our entire family as I go through this, because it's helping me. There are people who I've talked to in NAMI that have had the same issues that I have, that continue to have them, that are on their road to recovery, and that inspire me in my road to recovery, because it is something that we deal with all the time. And I think when you acknowledge that and you meet people who are suffering or dealing with it in similar manners, it's really a great sort of community to help support you.